So, good morning, everybody. The title of my talk this morning is A Walk in the Woods. And I got caught off guard as I was doing my research. And I typed into ChatGPT, blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm talking about. Go find some quotes. And I learned something new, that the quote that we all know, I'm sure, one way or another, life is a journey, not a destination. How many of you have heard that before? How many of you know who wrote that? I told you this morning. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I mean, I love Emerson. I've been reading Emerson since I was in high school. And I did not know that he wrote that. And I was like, okay, thank you. Because today, what I want to talk about is remembering that life is a journey. And it's not all about goals. It's nice to have goals, good to have goals, good to have a direction we're headed. And we have a past, and we reference our past from time to time about this, that, and the other. And working through our problems, working through our issues, all of a sudden something happens in front of us and we get triggered, and we remember some event from our childhood or our teen years or our young adult years. And like, I'm not upset really about this. I'm upset about that. Still, that still owns me. Do we have anybody else besides me has stuff like that? Yes. Yeah. I was working through some of that earlier this week. I was like, really? Still? And we do that. We get lost in our past, we get lost in our future, and we forget that we are here walking a journey, walking this thing called life, and that when we are most effective is when we stay where our feet are. Right? We get to stay where our feet are. So I have a lot of quotes this morning, several, and a couple extended ones. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me while I get into the extended ones. And the first one this morning is from Ernest Holmes, from the beginning, before chapter 1, before even the first 4 chapters that aren't numbered. He writes this: Peace be unto thee, stranger. Enter and be not afraid. I have left the gate open, and thou art welcome to my home. There is room in my house for all. I have swept the hearth and lighted the fire. The room is warm and cheerful, and you will find comfort and rest within. The table is laid, and the fruits of life are spread before thee. The wine is here also, and it sparkles in the light. I've set a chair for you here by the I've set a chair for you where the sunbeams dance through the shade. Sit and rest and refresh your soul. Eat of the fruit and drink the wine. All is yours, and you're welcome. Now, Ernest writes that early in the book, The Science of Mind. And every time I read it, I just feel like this is him writing to us from that perspective of the way he feels his relationship is with the divine, with the infinite presence. Because we get to create that relationship however we want it. If we hold that it is done unto us as we believe, then I get to imagine and create the relationship I have with infinite mind, universal mind. I get to hold that in a way that feels comfortable for me. And certainly I know that it moves in, through, around, and as me, that I am part of this great infinite whole. And I walk this journey through life not bound, but free. Sure, I may feel bound, and I will feel bound to the degree that I buy into limitations. I buy into things that, I say hold me back. But who's saying that? I'm saying that. Because I've gotten some message throughout the course of my life that says, maybe I'm not enough. And I get to flip that around and say, you know what? No, I am. I am enough, and I am deserving of everything, every good thing that I can embrace within my consciousness just because I am here. So this journey of life that we are on, that you're all here, we're all here journeying together here in this moment. So when we plan our journey, we ask ourselves, where have we been? Where am I going? And where am I now? And when I start asking those three questions, I'm asking them in this moment. And so they're all happening right now. I know. It's all here. And I think about it, I consider it, I kind of look and say, okay, how am I going to get from where I am to where I want to go? How am I going to step forward? What am I going to take with me on the journey? And how am I going to walk this journey? See, because I'm setting an intention to live life as a journey. Not sitting here in this moment saying, that's where I'm going, and I'm so busy focusing on where I'm going that I'm losing sight of the moment. Because I could have both. But I know that for myself, sometimes I get so focused on what might be happening downstream somewhere and all the little possibilities of how that outcome is going to show up that I lose sight of what I'm doing in the moment. Especially if the little committee sometimes, you know how it does, sometimes that little committee back here in the back of my head starts spinning out negative little outcomes and why this is not going to work out for me. And I get to flip that around and say, no, if I'm going to spend time imagining a future, I'm going to imagine a future that looks real good. I mean, works better for me that way. Feels better. And so if I'm imagining that destination and saying, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And then I start taking steps. I start looking for ways to get there from where I am. Start looking at possibilities and new ways of expressing, new ways of experiencing. How do I want to go about that? And if I am, as each and every one of us here are, an individualized expression of this thing we call God, which is love and light and life and peace and power and beauty and joy, happiness, wholeness, health, all these wonderful things. Maybe I don't want to focus on all of those things at once, but maybe just today I pick one and say, this today is how I'm going to walk the journey. This is what I'm carrying with me today. Today I want to be more loving, or today I want to be more joyful, or today I want to be more peaceful. This is the way I'm going to move through my day in this moment on this journey. Because there's all kinds of different things I could put in this backpack that I'm going to carry with me. And why not choose to put things in that pack that are going to serve me and support me? So not just the feelings, not just the ideas of who I am, but all the little tools that I'm going to need. The meditation practice, the affirmations, the prayer work, the support systems of individuals that I can reach out to, the community that we have here, that we're building here. Every one of those things is a resource for us on the journey. We get to choose all of it. So, how am I going to create this experience for myself? What choices am I going to make about how I'm going to walk through this life? Because we are not created in bondage, friends. We are created in freedom. We are free to choose. And sure, I mean, we have all, I'll speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for all of you. I'll speak for me. I know that I bought into all kinds of limiting ideas about me when I was younger because I didn't know any better. And then I get to choose. I get to walk through my life and choose differently. I get to choose to be not necessarily victorious, but I get to choose and reframe those experiences in a way that says, you know what? I learned from this. And I've learned the lessons, and I'm going to take the lessons and let all that negative stuff, all those thoughts of lack and limitation that I may have bought into up until now, set those aside, take the lesson, take the learning, and move forward, having been better for it. To learn to accept all of me. Because it'd be very easy for me to look back at that past and let it be limiting. So rather than letting all that history be limiting, I get to leverage the lessons and allow them to lift me up into a higher perspective, a more expanded view of who and what I am. Ernest Holmes writes this towards the end of The Science of Mind. He says, in conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have them repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. Spiritual experience. How many of us take the time to remember that I am walking even throughout the day, to remember throughout the day, this is a spiritual experience. When I'm driving in traffic, what we call traffic here in Phoenix, do I remember that that's a spiritual experience? When I'm doing the dishes, do I remember that that's a spiritual experience? When I'm taking the trash out, do I remember that that's a spiritual experience? All of it, friends. Can I embrace my life and my experience of this world, all of it, and call all of it a spiritual experience? Because for me, I can remember, I can remember times in my life to go, this is spiritual, this is not. Right? It's like, all the movies and stories about the magical and the mundane, right? We've got the magical things and the mundane things. Well, it's not like that. It's only like that because we've said so. So if I'm going to walk through this world, I get to say, you know what? It's all magical. It's all spiritual. It's all wonderful. And yeah, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's confusing. Sometimes it's even chaotic. And even in those chaotic moments, I know that at the center of the hurricane is what? Stillness. So can I find that in the midst of the hurricane that is sometimes my life? Can I move to that center place and say, oh, right, I can be still in the midst of this because I get to choose. And I know it can be challenging. I had some really challenging times this week, of course, because I'm writing this talk. And in the midst of it, yeah, I had a really, 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 really hard few hours, but I got through it and I got to the other side and I was like, oh, that is what that was about. Because I was willing to stay with it, because I was willing to take the time to feel the feelings and ask the questions and say, what is this really about? Because I know it's not about all this. Because intellectually, all this does not equal the feelings I'm having. So it was really about something entirely different. Something, of course, that I thought I had handled, thought I had dealt with. But because I'm grown and I've kind of, we circle around the mountain to find our way to the top. So we get to look at the same things from a different perspective. And what previously maybe we held as brokenness is maybe just being cracked open a bit. Rumi writes this: the wound is the place where the light enters you. And I would say, and I would add on to that, it's not just where the light enters you, but it's where we let our own light free. We get to share that too. Because if I'm open, I'm open. And that light flows in all directions all the time. It flows in and it flows out. And all of a sudden, what I thought was brokenness is just simply being cracked open so that I can more fully express who and what I am. And I get to walk this journey again, embracing all of me, all of me, all of my experiences, all of my expressions. And to look at those parts of me that maybe I didn't like so much for so long, or those parts of other people who have flowed in and through and around my life that I wasn't so happy with, to look at it all and say, all of this is the expression of spirit. And I can love and accept it. I can love and accept me. I can love and accept all of the me that I've become as a result of all of it, and learn to be okay right where I am. And learn to celebrate me right where I am. And to allow that growth to continue to grow, to move, to expand, so that I can be more of what I am. And I know that the process can be chaotic. I know that the process of letting things go and accepting different things and all of it, we're making the changes. I know we can get into change fatigue. It's also called growth. And depending on how I hold it, on how I hold the process, that is what makes the difference. Deepak Chopra goes on to write this. He says, in the midst of movements and chaos, when there is clarity, there is a virtue of simplicity. The journey gives you that clarity. How am I holding the journey? How am I taking step by step by step by step and saying, this is who I am in this moment? How am I going to express? How am I going to be? How open am I going to be to this experience that's in front of me? And how am I listening to it? How am I interacting with it? And when I'm looking in the mirror, am I okay with the reflection that's shining back at me? The physical mirror, number one, and this mirror called life that we live in. Because this life is always going to reflect back to me what it is I'm expressing, what we carry with us on the journey, and how we travel in this journey will always be reflected back to us over the course of the journey. Because it's always going to reflect back to me who and what I am. And if I'm feeling held back, if I'm feeling limited, then I get to ask the question, okay, well, what am I holding on to? Have I got something in my little backpack, a belief, an idea, something that's dragging me back? Some little message that says, I'm not enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not happy enough, I'm not healthy enough, I'm not this, that, or the other, and how can I change it? What am I willing to let go of and embrace something new? What am I willing to set aside in order to get to where I'm going? And what am I willing to set aside so that I can just be more present? Because every time I let something go, I reclaim a little bit of me that I've given away. And finally, Ernest goes on to say this: the essence of spiritual mind healing and of all true religious philosophy is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art, and thou art that which I am. An inner realization of the presence of perfection. You see, because I believe we come into this world, each and every one of us a divine idea, each and every one of us an expression of wholeness. And we move through this life taking things on and shedding things and changing and learning and growing. We have all these experiences. We buy into stories about how our life is supposed to be. It's supposed to look this way, that way, this other way. And how often do we stop? How often have we stopped and allowed ourselves to question and say, is that really how I want to be? Or am I just buying into some story somebody told me? How do I want to be? How do I want to express? How do I want to experience this life? How do I want to interact with others? You see, because we get to choose. And when we find ourselves more in alignment with our authentic being, those are the joyful moments. Those have been my joyful moments. When I know that I am in full and complete alignment with who and what I am and how I want to express and how I want to interact, free of all the nonsense of the past and free of all the fretting about the future, in this moment, laughing uproariously, uncontrollably, so much so that tears are streaming down my face, or in a quiet moment with a loved one, sharing intimate thoughts and ideas about how it is we want to be together. Or on a video call with my granddaughter, all of 8 months old, yesterday. And what's possible if I can have those feelings even in the midst of what I previously held to be chaos? I have met a few people in my life that I know that no matter what was going on, they were always happy. I've met a few that just had a natural, ingrained joy for life and living. And I hold those, two, I can count them on one hand, 2 people I know who have been like that. And they are my examples. I want that. I want my own unique expression of that, but I want to journey this world with a sense of joy such that I can look out upon the world and smile all the time. That is a journey I can aspire to. Not quite there yet, but I have been grateful for the example. So I have a practice for us this week. Let's take a look at our practice. This week, we explore how it is we are walking the path. We choose to live in the following questions. So, what are the qualities of God that I choose to walk in today? What are the qualities of God I choose to walk with today? Am I walking in a way that reflects the truth of me? In other words, how am I embodying these qualities? How am I expressing these qualities I hold to be the qualities of God? And finally, what can I let go of today that will help set me free? What ideas, thoughts, beliefs am I holding on to that are holding me back? So, take some time to practice with these questions this week. Maybe take one a day and kind of circulate them through the week. But this is the practice this week. Do your own exploration. Let's find our own unique way of walking this journey individually and collectively. So, with that, now it's your turn. Questions, comments, thoughts?
So the first question, what are the qualities of I choose to walk with today? So right. Yoga and Ayurvedic tradition and the whole Vedic tradition, the deities and the stories, and you have these ancient stories that are really about giving us like that example, and which qualities do I want to borrow from that person? So to me, that's something for me that sort of changes depending on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And your second question, am I walking in a way that reflects the truth of me? That question sounds to me more like something that's all the time, like less transient, coming and going depending on the day and the circumstances and the time of life. Yeah. For me, and the way that you said, what are the qualities of God I choose to walk with today? And am I walking in a way that reflects those qualities? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to understand, is the truth of me those qualities, or is it more of a...
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
To both.
So
It's okay. The answer is yes to both. Because yes, because the qualities, I mean, the qualities of God, for me, talking about the qualities of God, it's a way we talk about what the infinite is, right? It's, I mean, we go back to Emma Curtis Hopkins, love, life, peace, power, beauty, and joy. Those were her seven. And there's more. When we talk about it in terms of, it's just, there are words we use to talk about this infinite thing, right? That is always moving, changing, expanding, growing. So, yes, what are the qualities of God that I would choose to walk with today? That's a way, for me, that's a way of saying, what do I want to really focus on today? What do I want to be intentional about today? Am I walking in a way that reflects the truth of me? That's a whole package thing. It's like, how authentic am I feeling today? Okay. That help? Maybe authentic would have been a better word to use there. But I think that's the point. Okay. Anybody else? Great question, as always, Lori. All right. Mindful Monday. I'll just remind you of Mindful Monday is our Monday newsletter. And so the questions and a synopsis of the talk today will be in the Mindful Monday newsletter. You can sign up for that in the lobby or on the website, either one, and you'll get that every Monday morning. So with that, let's turn within. Hmm. And we turn within in the still and quiet place to recognize that God is all there is. One infinite life and love and mind in which we live and move and have our being. We know that we are one with it. It expresses through us right here and right now. And the words I speak for myself, for everybody here in the space with me this morning, for everybody online, and for our community at large. And so we step into this time recognizing that this journey of awakening we are engaged in each and every moment is one filled with joy, filled with insight and wisdom, where we set aside everything that has gone before and set aside everything that may be coming downstream and allow ourselves to live in this moment. In this moment. In this moment, we know all is well, that life is good. In this moment, we are whole, complete, and perfect in each and every way. Our divine idea within finds its way into expression in its fullness. We know that the light shines forth from within us right here and right now, sweeping aside any doubt, any worry, any concern, and allowing us to move peacefully, joyfully in each and every moment. That all of our relationships are supportive and celebratory. That we find love and peace and joy, that we find prosperity and health and wholeness. We accept all of this, all of our good. We allow our journey home to be fulfilled right here, right now, as each and every one of us. And so, with gratitude, we go forward into the rest of this day and into this week, knowing all is well, that life is good, as every one of us. And so we let it be, and so it is.